Part 3. Why are all of them passive skills? Author, Bulletin G. Bayet. Chapter 21. All creatures in the forest have two positions, one is prey and the other is hunter, and now Yejing has positioned himself as a hunter, striving not to become a prey. Now, what he needs to be wary of is not only the alien warcraft, but also the same kind. It is even better to say that the same kind is dangerous. The low-level aliens and warcraft have no IQ, and they can't do anything except fight. But human beings are different. They have intelligence, cunning, conspiracies, and evil hidden in their hearts. In such a chaotic place, there are few people and no surveillance video. No matter what happened, no one knows. Such as now. Yejing looked at the three young men who stopped him with a look of helplessness on his face. I had guessed that there would be such a scene, but I didn't expect that it would actually come. There were three young men in their 20s in front of them, each holding a machete in his hand. It was a very crudely made type, and the material was not fine iron, but just ordinary iron. The cultivation level of the three people blocking the road was not high. They were first level, second level, and second level. They were in their 20s and still wandering around in the realm of metamorphosis. They were either losers or gangsters. They were obviously the second type. When Yejing saw the three of them, he was still a little scared, but after a short moment, he cleared his mind and felt relieved. The machete was made of mortal iron, which meant that there was no weapon before. He has achieved this level of cultivation in his 20s, and his mind is no longer focused on cultivation, which means he does not have rich combat experience. The weapons are useless, there is no monk's heart, the battle experience is terrible, the bones in the body are hollowed out. Why should you rob me? Brother, he doesn't seem afraid. After a few seconds of confrontation between the two parties, the First Order man said with a puzzled look on his face. They were originally green-skinned gangsters from the lonely city. Yesterday, they saw many students and teenagers walking towards the forest outside the city, and they had evil thoughts. They wanted to block the road and rob them to get some money. Although they are said to be very weak, as gangsters, they have good eyesight. The targets they target are all young, low-strength, poorly dressed civilian children. Such representatives do not have strong assistants or trump cards to easily attack. And this is also true. From yesterday to now, they have robbed 3 targets and harvested thousands of spiritual stones, which greatly increased their evil intentions. You must know that spiritual stones are still very valuable if they are not used for practice. An ordinary family of 3 cannot consume 1,000 spiritual stones in a year, but they harvested spiritual stones that can last for a long time in just one day. How can they not be arrogant? Is it going up? Humph. I'm afraid it's not you who has the final say, but mine. The eldest brother standing at the front sneered twice and looked Yejing up and down. He didn't find any jewelry or magic weapon in his hand. It was just a black stick. He only remembered that when he was a child, he only used sticks in fights, and he suddenly felt confident. Child, there are not many babies. There are 2 ways. 1. Put down the storage bracelet and you can leave safely. The other is, beat you up, then strip you naked, take your storage bracelet away, and you run back naked. Hearing what the eldest brother said, the 2 younger brothers beside him couldn't help laughing. The second brother looked at Yejing with a playful look on his face. This is 10 miles away from Gukhan. If you don't want to run naked for 10 miles, just cooperate honestly. Kid. Yejing took a deep breath, and a burst of anger naturally arose in his heart, rushing straight into his brain. His hands trembled slightly. I, Yejing, am a time traveler with a golden finger. Today, I, a time traveler, was called a kid twice. One time was a big boss, which I couldn't afford to offend, and the other time was a miscreant, which I could afford. What to do? I can't control my hands now. Yejing glanced at them expressionlessly, stroked the fine iron rod in his hand with one hand, and said lightly, "My rod is called a dog fighting stick. It weighs 16 taels and 3 cents, and is 5 feet and 7 inches long. It comes out of the mountains so far. I have killed a demon but not a dog. I ask you, do you want to become a dead dog under my stick?" The three gangsters looked at each other and saw the anger in each other's eyes. A dog beating stick? Then aren't we dogs? Second brother, what are you pretending to be? You talked a lot. I didn't understand much. He had the most irritable personality. After yelling, he rushed towards Yejing with a machete, and the machete was also covered with a very thin layer of white light. Although he was not a spiritual practitioner, he also knew how to use spiritual energy. There is no order. Do you think it's a fight? Yejing couldn't help but feel a little amused when he saw the idiot rushing towards him. Did you eat shit out of 9 years of compulsory education? I learned combat skills in junior high school, and direct confrontation is a taboo. With a sarcastic look on his face, Yejing ducked slightly to one side, and then hit him on the head with a stick. With a plop, the weakest one fell to the ground and fell unconscious. His attack was still gentle and he did not use all his strength. A dead dog, Yejing chuckled. Who else is there? Second brother. Second brother. The eldest brother and the third brother yelled, looking at the fainted man with red eyes, feeling sad and angry in their hearts. If we withdraw now, is it still too late? Yejing was stunned. You guys are turning a bit too fast. Then what should he do? Yejing pointed at his second brother lying on the ground with a stick. The eldest brother said, kill or cut into pieces, it's up to you. I just ask you to let us two go. The second brother lying on the ground trembled all over, with tears of regret in his eyes. WCNM. After witnessing the plastic brotherhood, Yejing muttered, put down the storage bracelet, you can leave, and take him with you by the way. Since the other party begged for mercy, he was not such an unreasonable person. He put down the knife in his hand, put down the storage bracelet in his hand, and said goodbye. When the eldest brother heard that he had to put down the storage bracelet, he immediately understood that this was a robbery. He made a prompt decision. What are you waiting for? Chop him. After saying that, he rushed up from the left and right. Beating them is okay, but taking their spiritual stones is not okay. I knew it. Yejing sighed secretly, moved his feet slightly, and his figure flashed. He appeared directly next to the person with the lowest cultivation level, and then beat him to death with one move. Trigger the double attack. This attack triples the damage. Yejing. Damn. His face changed, and he stared at the gangster with only the first level cultivation level. He was hit by a stick and flew 7 or 8 meters away. He spun several times in the air and finally hit the tree. After a muffled sound, he was still alive. Really alive or dead? My God. I usually call you once and you don't come out. Why did you come so suddenly this time? Yejing's heart skipped a beat. Would he be beaten to death? He just wanted to teach him a lesson, not to kill him. The eldest brother had been stunned for a long time. His dull eyes followed the body of the third brother. He saw the third brother fly 7 or 8 meters away and fall to the ground with blood all over his head. Murder! He screamed, his face full of fear, and threw the machete in his hand to the ground, turned around and ran away. What eldest brother, second brother, third brother, what robbery? Nothing is more important than his own life. In order to prevent Yejing from chasing him, he even threw down the storage bracelet. Yejing. I really didn't want to kill anyone. Why are all of them passive skills? Author, Bulletin G. Bayet. Chapter 22. The Law of the Jungle. The weak eat the strong, the fittest survive, the weak are ravaged by the strong are ravaged by the stronger. This is not the second best, this is the rule. Obviously, Yejing has not adapted to this rule yet. This is not something you can adapt to if you want to, nor can you change it if you want to. You let a person who has lived in the beautiful motherland for 18 years and is deeply influenced by socialist values, it would be impossible and unrealistic for him to kill directly and decisively. When he saw the mistress covered in blood because of a passerby and thrown 7 or 8 meters away, he was afraid not only of his second brother who was pretending to be unconscious at his feet, but also of himself. From the bottom of his heart, he was not ready to get his hands stained with human blood, even if the opponent was a gangster. Yejing's face turned gloomy and dark. He carefully walked up to the mistress who robbed him, and leaned down to feel his breath. Immediately, his anxious mood relaxed. He was still alive and not dead. That's okay, that's okay. Yejing breathed a sigh of relief, but although he was not dead yet, he was not far away from death. The man lying on the ground was breathing in and out, and it was estimated that he would not be able to survive for long. If I had known, I would have left a few bottles of recovery potions. Yejing said angrily that he only had a bottle of violent potion purchased from Wang Hao that he had not used yet. He set his sights on the storage bracelet thrown away by the robbery brother. He wondered if they had brought it themselves. The possibility was very low. Not a few gangsters could afford such expensive medicine. After opening the storage bracelet, Yejing was stunned. I didn't expect it to happen. Still 3 bottles. When he took it out and looked at it, something suddenly didn't feel right. Damn it, didn't I make this? The potion in the storage bracelet was the recovery potion he had sold to Wang Hao before, and even its attributes could be seen. Recovery potion, recover minor injuries and a small amount of blood. Yejing temporarily suppressed his doubts and didn't feel any distress, and directly drank it to the third brother who was robbing him on the ground. After a few seconds, his breathing gradually stabilized, but he was still half dead. The injury was too serious, and the recovery medicine was of little use. He had to go to the city for treatment as soon as possible. Of course, Yejing was not the one to do this kind of thing. He was not so kind as to carry an enemy on his back and run 10 miles back to the city. He walked back and kicked the second brother who was pretending to be unconscious. Stop pretending, get up. Don't kill me, don't kill me. The second brother was so frightened that he peed, his whole body was trembling, and he begged for mercy. Yejing was speechless. Who the hell is going to kill you? Hurry up and take that person back for treatment. When you go back, you will be told nonsense. When did I kill someone? When the second brother heard that Yejing was going to let him go, he was overjoyed and couldn't stop nodding. Yes, yes, don't talk nonsense. Also Yejing took out the recovery potion and asked, where did you get this? The second brother replied, I snatched it from a pretty boy. At first he refused to give it to me, but later he asked us to strip it naked and tie it to a tree. Yejing had a dark look on his face. The pretty boy he was talking about must be Wang Hao. He was stripped naked and tied to a tree. This is a jungle. Where and how long has it been? The second brother pointed in the direction. It's not far from here, more than 2 hours. More than 2 hours. Is there any help? Yejing didn't dare to delay any longer, so she turned around and walked in the direction he pointed. Whether it was to save people or collect corpses, it was still a classmate. If they were really eaten, they could clean up the remains. A white, tender, and fresh human being with no fighting ability, tied naked to a tree, isn't he just a ration delivery person? No one would be interested if he left it alone. Yejing walked for about 10 minutes before hearing a faint shout in front of him. Who will save this baby? I have money. I have spiritual stones, and I can make medicine. Still alive? Yejing was shocked. Wang Hao was so lucky. He had been tied to a tree for more than 2 hours, but he didn't encounter any monsters or fire demons. When Wang Hao saw Yejing walking out of the leafy grass, his eyes were filled with tears, and his ashen face suddenly lit up, as if he had seen his long-lost wild father. "Dad! No, brother Zheng! Save me! What the hell is Dad?" Ye Jing released Wang Hao from the tree and was hugged by the bear. "Brother! You will be my brother from now on. You scared me to death. I thought I was dead." Wang Hao was crying and shouting, wiping away tears and shouting. These 2 hours had frightened him, for fear that what came out was not a human being but a foreign race. Ye Jing didn't hesitate, pushed him away, and then threw him some clothes from the bracelet. A naked man rubbed all over him. It was so disgusting. "What's wrong with you? Where are your teammates? You're not the only one who came in, right?" Wang Hao cried bitterly, "Forget it, there were originally 5 of us, but then we met a fire demon team, and there was a big daddy in it, so we were immediately dispersed." "Ye Jing, it's not easy for you to survive if you are so weak." "Maid. The labor and management actually let 3 scoundrels trick them. I will beat them to death when I go back." Wang Hao gritted his teeth and said, he had never suffered such grievances in his life. "My own father has never treated me like this. Catch the person, strip him naked and beat him." "How did you find me? Did you meet those 3 scoundrels?" Wang Hao asked. "No, what kind of scoundrel? I came here after I heard the noise while wandering around," Ye Jing said blankly. "What are these 3 scoundrels? I met 3 gangsters, and they were not a group of people." He secretly hid the stolen storage bracelet, and he was definitely not a group of people. "Oh, that's all right," Wang Hao responded, and suddenly thought of something, and said excitedly, "I'm going to make a great contribution this time." Ye Jing was puzzled. "You were washed naked and tied to a tree, how can you make a great contribution?" "What great contribution?" Wang Hao looked around and whispered, "I know who is the spy in Gukan." Ye Jing was shocked. "Spy?" "Yes. That's right," Wang Hao said, "I overheard it before. This time the fire demon invaded Gukan on a large scale, and it was also related to that spy. He would never say that he overheard it when he was urinating, nor would he say that he was discovered by the enemy because he was urinating. In this chaotic era, there are spies?" Ye Jing was curious. "Who? Do you have a name? Tell me." "Wang Hao, I heard the leader of the fire demon team talk about a very special person. I heard that he was the former city lord 18 years ago. He was abolished by the city lord Li and disappeared after he became Lame. I didn't expect him to be in Gukan. This time he really deserves a great achievement." "The former city lord," Wang Hao said excitedly, "how much reward should he give?" 18 years ago. Abandoned cultivation. Lame leg." Ye Jing was thinking, "Why do I feel a little impression? Could it be that I have met the former city lord?" Suddenly, a figure flashed in my mind. "Isn't this my dad? Oh my goodness! Something big happened." You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Why are all of them passive skills? Author, Bouletin G. Bayet. Chapter 23. Ye Jing panicked. It's not that he had to think about his father, it's really impossible to wash it off. 18 years ago, the cultivation was abolished, the leg was crippled, and the father who never explained it. Ye Jing said that he couldn't help but panic. No matter how he thought about it, it was suspicious. The kind that can't be washed off. Now it's not the kind of time where minor illnesses and disasters can kill people. The invasion of spiritual energy has washed through the human body. Not to mention colds and fevers, even cancer is gone. In the entire lonely city, Ye Jing has only seen one lame leg, that is his father. It's okay if you don't think about it, the more you think about it, the more terrible it is. He recalled that when his father was away 2 days ago, Wasn't it the time when the fire demon invaded the south of the city? When his father came back again, he was full of rich spiritual energy. He said he went to his old friend's house, but others didn't know, but he didn't know? My father has inconvenient legs and feet and no cultivation. He stays at home all day. How can he have any old friends? Besides, the places in the whole lonely city with such rich spiritual energy can be counted on one hand, and the place where the problem occurred recently is the last line of defense of the whole lonely city, the sky curtain, isn't it? Oh my goodness! Yejing was so scared when he thought about it. Could it be that there is another line behind his father? The former city lord's old subordinates? He once suspected that his father, who didn't go out to work every day, had money to support the family. Isn't it right this time? As the former city lord, even if he was purged, he would leave some spare resources. As the former city lord, even if he was purged, he would leave some old subordinates. As the former city lord, what a fart! Yejing shook his head vigorously, secretly cursing himself not to guess blindly. He must be wrong. Although his father is not a noble person, he will never do anything to harm the lonely city, absolutely not. Absolutely not, right? Wang Hao saw Yejing's face suddenly turned pale and he looked a little panicked. He couldn't help but ask, "What's wrong with you?" Yejing forced a smile and said, "It's okay. I just didn't expect there were spies inside the lonely city." Did you hear what that person's name was? Wang Hao didn't care about Yejing's condition and said casually, "It seems to be Ye Tianxiang, the former city lord, everyone knows it." Yejing's legs went weak when he heard it. He quickly held the big tree beside him. A layer of cold sweat broke out on his forehead. His father's name was Ye Xiangtian. "Dad, didn't your elders teach you to have many nicknames when you go out? Who the hell taught you to use your name in reverse as an alias? It's a hammer." Yejing couldn't help but look at Wang Hao, staring at him with green eyes, holding the dog-beating stick tightly in his hand. "Dad /U003 Alonli City /U003 Wang Hao. Is it too late to kill now?" Wang Hao was frightened by his malicious eyes and trembled all over. He asked, "Why are you so weird?" "Yejing, what's wrong?" "Wang Hao, you look at me like a dead person." Yejing shook his head and denied, "You are wrong." He hesitated for a moment, but still couldn't bear to do it. He would not believe Wang Hao's words alone. Maybe there was some misunderstanding. In fact, he had another idea in his mind. Any leader of a fire demon team knows about this matter, so what about other high-level fire demons? You know, high-level fire demons are not as stupid as low-level fire demons. Once they become high-level fire demons, their intelligence is comparable to that of humans. Otherwise, they would not be defined as aliens, not alien beasts. Fire demons are an intelligent race. Also, now even a small fry like Wang Hao knows about this matter. What about the high-level officials in Gukan? Wouldn't they not know? It's unlikely, right? If it's true, Yejing's heart trembled. That would be terrible. Wouldn't he be caught directly if he returned to the city now? "Dad, although I know you are useless, please don't cheat your son like this." Just when Yejing was thinking about it, Wang Hao spoke, "Didn't you say you wouldn't come to the south of the city? Why are you here?" Yejing said in a daze, "Ah. I earned some spiritual stones." "Wang Hao, did you earn it?" Yejing nodded, "I earned it." "That's it." After Wang Hao asked, he showed a satisfied smile on his face, and then pulled Yejing up, "Let's go." Yejing asked in confusion, "Where are you going?" "Go back to the city. So that I can report this matter." "Don't worry, since you saved me, I will share the credit with you." Wang Hao patted Yejing's chest and said generously. Knowing gratitude is Wang Hao's principle. Yejing saved his life this time, so he must give a big gift in return. "Oh, back to the city. Back to the city. Yejing yelled after reacting, and shook his head hurriedly, "I won't go back." Now he didn't know what was going on in the city. How could he go back rashly? If everything was true, wouldn't he be walking into a trap? Wang Hao frowned. "Why? You don't want to find Huayu and Anjing, do you?" Yejing looked surprised. "What do you want to do with them?" "I came here with them. We got separated when we ran away before." "Weird, didn't I tell you?" Wang Hao wondered. Bang! Yejing couldn't hold back the power of the wildness in his right hand, and hit Wang Hao on the back with a stick. Before Wang Hao could cry out in pain, he grabbed his collar and roared angrily, "You didn't tell me. If you had told me earlier, who would care about you?" In Yejing's heart, there is no comparison between Huayu and Wang Hao. He and Huayu have been neighbors for many years, and they have never had any major conflicts. They are considered good friends. Moreover, considering the contentious relationship between his father and Aunt Hua, he didn't want anything to happen to Huayu. Finally, and most importantly, as a good friend, he doesn't mind if the relationship is better. "Where did you run?" Yejing asked hurriedly, feeling very tired at the same time. "After saving one person, I have to save another one. Am I here to make money in the forest or to save people?" Ahem. Wang Hao coughed twice as he was strangled, and pointed in a direction tremblingly, "Over there. Let's go." "Lead the way." Yejing looked at the direction Wang Hao was pointing. That was deep. He gritted his teeth and made up his mind, dragging Wang Hao inside. If he could beat him, he would fight. If he couldn't, he would run away. When Wang Hao saw that Yejing was trying to drag him away, he quickly refused. "No. No. You hero saved the beauty and you were taken with me." Yejing glared at him fiercely and said grimly, "There are two ways, either follow me, or I will strip you naked and tie you to a tree. You choose." He didn't know what his father's condition was now. Instead of letting Wang Hao go back to report, he might as well drag him along with him, so that at least he would have peace of mind. Besides, if others don't know and Wang Hao dies in the hands of the fire demon, wouldn't this become a secret? Yejing's thoughts were also changing unconsciously, and even he himself was not aware of it. It's late. Thank you all book friends for your recommendation votes and collections. Thank you for your support. Why are all of them passive skills? Author, Bouletin G. Bayet. Chapter 24. Deep in the forest, a petite figure kept shuttling through the forest. She stepped on the spiritual wind and was covered in white light. She paid attention to the route ahead while avoiding attacks from behind. About 10 meters behind her, a powerful 5-meter-tall fire demon was chasing after her. The fire that kept coming out of its body showed its strength. If it weren't for its huge size and difficulty in moving, it might have been killed long ago. Caught up. "Huayu, please put me down and run away, otherwise neither of us will be able to escape." The face of the girl lying behind Huayu was pale and bloodless, and blood could be seen faintly in the corners of her mouth. Jing felt very regretful and blamed herself. It was all because of her selfishness that Huayu was reduced to such a state and was hunted down by aliens. Life is not guaranteed. If she hadn't wanted to come to the forest south of the city to find her missing father, Huayu wouldn't have taken such an adventure with her. If she hadn't wanted to go into the depths of the forest, she wouldn't have encountered such a powerful team of fire demons, causing the team to fall apart and flee. However, her own strength was low, and when she thought she could not escape the pursuit, Huayu resolutely carried her on her back regardless of the speed being slowed down. Perhaps, if Huayu escaped alone, she would be out of danger now. Jing blamed herself in her heart. "No. How could I let you go?" Huayu refused without hesitation. Her breathing was rapid, and her eyes of different colors like maple leaves and ice blue were filled with anxiety. Different from being quiet, her pretty face was red and her forehead was covered with a thin layer of sweat. The originally clean and tidy blue sportswear was also burned to pieces after the battle, and his arms were exposed like white lotus roots. If it hadn't been for the spiritual energy imprinted on the shoes, he might have run away with his bare feet. Why can't I see anyone? Huayu was so anxious that she ran away for a long time without seeing a single person. The surroundings were so quiet that she even thought that they were the only two left in the entire forest. In fact, it's almost the same. In the entire forest, the vast majority of people rushed to the depths of the jungle to surround and kill the leader of the fire demon. It was not just humans, but also the fire demons. Both sides gathered in the depths of the jungle. Running like this is not an option. Huayu bit her silver teeth lightly. She felt the declining spiritual energy in her body and couldn't help but become a little anxious. When the spiritual energy was used up, the two of them would be meat on the board and be slaughtered by others. Just when Huayu was hesitant to turn around and fight, Yejing joined her. "Can you shut up?" Yejing dragged Wang Hao with an impatient look on his face, wondering why he didn't feel that this guy talked so much. He was nagging along the way and it was annoying to death. If I had known better, I would have tied him to a tree. Wang Hao is about to cry but has no tears. "You are dragging me to death. You are right. If you dare, put me down, and I promise to turn around and leave, and I will never bother you. Stop making noise." "There's noise." Suddenly, Yejing's face straightened, his ears twitched slightly, there was a rustling sound in the forest, and a ball of fire shot towards the two of them from the front. "Be careful." Yejing threw Wang Hao to the ground, holding the dog-beating stick tightly in his hand. Before the fire approached, he saw the figure chasing the fire. He was immediately overjoyed and shouted, "Flower language." When Huayu came in front of her and saw that it was Yejing, she stopped at her feet and was stunned for a moment. She asked blankly, "Why are you here?" Yejing pointed at Wang Hao and smiled, "I met Wang Hao and asked him to bring me to you." Huayu is done thinking, "I can't carry 3 people on my back." She knew that Yejing's strength was far behind hers and was completely useless. He was just going to die if he came here. She just wanted to open her mouth and say run away, but it was already too late. The energy in the air instantly became violent, mixed with the hot breath, and the temperature nearby suddenly rose a lot. The next second, a deafening sound sounded, and the trees above fell down, countless branches and leaves fell, turning into gray and black. A huge figure appeared in front of several people, and the location was exactly where they were going. "I can't run away," Huayu smiled bitterly, and then a look of perseverance appeared on her pretty face. She gently put down the injured Enjing. "Since she can't run away, let's fight." Yejing looked at the huge figure in front of him with a solemn expression, and couldn't help but be a little shocked. With a figure of more than 5 meters tall, he looked very small, and the majestic pressure hit his face. This was completely different from the fire demon he had fought alone before. Whether it's pressure, temperature, energy, or size, it's several times stronger than before. Yejing looked at it intently and placed his gaze on the crystal core of the fire demon. His heart sank even more. The 60 mark was equivalent to the 6th level of the Metamorphosis realm, 4 levels higher than him. Can this be fought? He thought about his Kyo fist, no, it was double strike, then thought about his God of War combo, and finally thought about his trump card and came up with a piece of information. We can fight? He knows that his current strength is very low, but he belongs to the type who becomes stronger as he fights more wars. Whether it is double hit or war god combo, they can all bring benefits to continuous combat. 1 or 2 attacks won't show anything, but what if it's 10 or 20? Not to mention the triggering probability of double strike, even if you only have God of War combo, you can greatly improve your strength. Not to mention, he also has a super trump card called War of War. You will know after you try it, such as leapfrog battles and so on. Wang Hao, "Help and Jing walk away," Ye Jing said in a deep voice. "The two people can't be too close, which will distract him and Hua Yu." Wang Hao nodded. He also knew that he couldn't help much and might even cause trouble, so he helped Jing and walked to the periphery. Hua Yu glanced at Ye Jing and said, "How about you?" Before she finished speaking, the fire demon moved first, waving a burning fist and rushing towards the two of them. "Quickly escape." Ye Jing's face changed slightly, and he reminded him. Hua Yu also reacted quickly, and the two dodged on the left and right. The flames burning on the 60-degree fire demon were not something they could easily resist. If they were not careful, they would easily get burned. Hua Yu said, "I have already transformed into the 4th level of human, and I can control my aura to resist its flames. I will go to the front." Ye Jing responded. This critical moment did not allow for pretentiousness. The strength of his spiritual energy was definitely not as strong as Hua Yu, and he could not withstand the front. Hua Yu's whole body is full of aura, her long black hair is flying in the wind, and the deep blue light surrounds her, as if she is dancing like a water fairy. She is a body of acquired water and fire, and if she only uses water aura, she can also suppress the fire demon to a certain extent. I lost a lot of collections in these few chapters, which is sad. This book was first published on Kidian. If there are readers from other sites, please support Kidian. Why are all of them passive skills? Author, Buletin Ji Bayet. Chapter 25. The next second, Hua Yu's figure flashed, her slender legs slightly bent, and suddenly popped out, the blue moist aura wrapped around her white and tender palms, and slammed hard on the chest of the fire demon. Although the energy was restrained, the difference in strength was there. This attack only made the fire demon tremble slightly, and the flames on her body trembled slightly, as if blown by the wind. In just a moment, it recovered its original arrogance and did not cause any damage. Hua Yu saw it, but there was nothing she could do. She had a poor family background and a small academy, and there was no skill suitable for her to learn. As a result, she had no moves to use so far. She had a lot of aura, but she couldn't use it. If I had known earlier, I would have saved more money to buy a book of skills online, Hua Yu sighed. Although you can buy skills online, the price is extremely high. With her little spiritual stones, it will take at least a year or two to save up. She had never fought before and had never thought of spending money to buy skills, but when it came to fighting, it was too late. It's not just the techniques. Experienced practitioners are cautious when fighting. Everything must be fully prepared, not just the techniques, but also weapons, potions, and even protective gear, which are also factors that affect the battle. And Hua Yu, nothing. In this regard, Ye Jing did better than her. Whether he was timid or cautious, Ye Jing prepared everything he needed yesterday, including passive skills, weapons made of fine iron, and even a bottle of violent potion that enhances the whole body attributes. Violent potion. Ye Jing only remembered at this time that he still had a bottle of violent potion bought from Wang Hao at a low price. When fighting against such a strong enemy, he naturally couldn't save it and drank it directly. When the violent potion entered the body, the blood in the body rolled up like a storm, and the strength, speed, etc. were all improved. The duration of the violent potion is 5 minutes, so it will be solved within these 5 minutes. Ye Jing no longer waited for an opportunity. He jumped past Hua Yu and hit the fire demon's legs with the dog-beating stick. He didn't have to hit the legs, but he could only hit the legs. Although the attack didn't work, he was still concerned because a message suddenly appeared in the upper right corner of his sight. War God Combo *1, increase strength by 1%, destructive power by 1%, duration 10 seconds. Ye Jing hit the fire demon with a 3-hit combo with his backhand. He could clearly feel that his attack power was gradually increasing with the number of attacks. Although the single increase was negligible, it could be stacked. War God Combo *2, increase strength by 2%, destructive power by 2%, duration 10 seconds. War God Combo *3, increase strength by 3%, destructive power by 3%, duration 10 seconds. The reason why he chose the stick in the early stage was that it didn't have the fancy swordsmanship of the long sword, nor the striking power of the broadsword, but the stick had many ways to attack. Push, poke, scoop, chop, smash, and throw. Each attack can add a War God combo. As long as it continues, he will become stronger and stronger. Hua Yu's eyes flashed with light, and there was a hint of surprise on her face. This attack power was not as bad as she imagined. At the same time, it also gave her a dose of heart-strengthening medicine. Maybe, she can really win. The two of them were entangled with the fire demon in close combat. Since the fire demon's attack was very large every time, it was still easy to dodge as long as they were prepared. What made them most uncomfortable was not the fire demon's active attack, but the flames burning all over its body. In just 1 minute, the two of them were sweating profusely, as if a huge rock was pressing on their hearts, and they had difficulty breathing. The extremely high temperature burned their skin for a long time, and the pain increased little by little. Although they could bear it, they couldn't stand the constant burning. Triggering double attack, this attack triples the damage. With a muffled bang, the fire demon was hit hard and barely stepped back several steps. Taking advantage of this gap, Yejing glanced at his status bar. God of War combo was stacked 26 times before it triggered a double attack. His face was really dark. Hua Yu was surprised and said, "What's going on? What is this?" This was the second time she saw Yejing suddenly launch a high-value attack. She couldn't help but feel curious and a little envious. Yejing smiled and said, "My own skill, King of the Fists." Hua Yu's face turned dark. It was clearly hit with a stick. "You told me this is a fist technique. Are you kidding me?" The triple damage was quite powerful. This time, the flame on the right leg of the fire demon was dissipated by most of the flames. The recovery speed was extremely slow, which gave the two of them a glimmer of victory. "Quick! Give it another King of the Fists." Yejing was speechless. "I wanted to do it too. But his face didn't allow it." "Push me, I'll try." He shook his head and gritted his teeth, saying that it was a bit embarrassing to let the girl push in front, but this was the only way now. At worst, he could give Hua Yu more when dividing the spoils later. He was still at a disadvantage, so he was thinking about dividing the spoils. "Yeah." Hua Yu nodded. She was the only one who could resist in the front. With her spiritual strength and system, she could barely withstand the front roasting of this fire demon. If it was Yejing, it would be a real roast in a few seconds. Hua Yu was in front, Yejing was on the side, and the two launched attacks at the same time. "Trigger the passive for me." Yejing shouted in his heart, and then it was really triggered. "Trigger bleeding, because the enemy has no blood." The trigger failed. Yejing, I'm not talking about you. He didn't expect bloodshed from the beginning. Did the fire demon have blood? Didn't he count yet? What I want is double hit. Yejing didn't care about anything else now. With Hua Yu standing in front of him, he kept burying his head at the injured right leg of the fire demon. At this time, the enhancement effect of God of War combo also came out, whether it was strength or the destructive power is greatly increased. The powerful force can make the fire demon take a small step back with each attack, and the destructive power is superimposed, which also makes the original recovery speed of the fire right leg drop a lot. Careful! Just when Yejing was burying his head in chopping wood and not burying his head in the leg, a voice from Hua Yu woke him up. He looked up and backed away without saying a word. The flames all over the fire demon's body seemed to have been poured with oil, suddenly swelled a bit, and after a scream, the violent flames rushed towards the surroundings. Fire blast. The sudden surge of flames caught Huayu off guard, and she was instantly burned. The corners of her clothes and trouser legs were also burned a bit shorter, revealing a touch of whiteness. Quick! Huayu bit her silver teeth, endured the pain from her body, directly drained the spiritual energy from her body, protected her whole body, and withstood the impact of the flames. Yejing's brows stood up straight at this look, and he was extremely angry. He raised the dog-beating stick with both hands and used all his strength to hit the fire demon's leg. "I'll humming break your legs. Trigger double hit, this attack will cause triple damage." You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Why are all of them passive skills? Author, Bulletin G. Bayet. Chapter 26. Yejing had also imagined that when he was fighting, dozens of buffs would appear on the status bar with one strike, and dozens of negative buffs would appear on the enemy's body with one strike, but that was too far away for him now. I can only think about it in my dreams. He currently only has one negative status bleeding, and was immune to it when fighting against the fire demon. He can only place his hope on double hit. Fortunately, his dark face finally turned white for once, and at this critical moment, he was triggered. Trigger double strike, this attack will cause triple damage. Yejing's blow directly broke the fire demon's right leg. The roaring flames were unable to withstand such a destructive attack and were immediately extinguished. The fire demon who had broken his right leg was naturally unable to maintain his balance, and his huge body became a burden for him. His body shape could not be supported by one left leg alone, and he fell to his knees on the ground. What a great opportunity! Huayu and Yejing both looked at each other and saw a glimmer of light in each other's eyes. Without much communication, they directly attacked the fire demon from the front and side. This time, the attack was no longer aimed at its body, but at its body. Its crystal core. The fire demon's body shook a few times, and he wanted to stand up, but couldn't maintain his balance. He could only use the burning flames on his body to resist the attacks of the two men. The flower language fluttered like an immortal, and merged with Yejing. After many trial attacks, he found a flaw in the fire demon's defense, and blasted out with a palm, directly shattering the crystal core. Under the siege of the two men, the fire demon could only wail and dissipate into the air, leaving only fragments of the sparkling white crystal core. After the two of them saw the fire demon disappear, they immediately breathed a sigh of relief, and their tense bodies also relaxed. Without caring about the image, they sat directly on the ground, breathing heavily. The high temperature brought by the fire demon had solidified the surrounding air before, and the supply was in short supply. The two of them had almost been holding their breath while fighting. Now that the air was released, they had to make up for it with big mouthfuls. During the close combat, the clothes on the two of them were also soaked. Huayu's clothes were even worse because they were in a head-on confrontation. They were burned to pieces. Although they were not exposed, they still revealed Baiji's flawless shoulders. After being soaked with sweat, you could vaguely see your underwear, which made Yejing couldn't bear to look directly, and reminded, "Go and change into a set of clothes." Huayu was also a hindsight. She lowered her head and looked at her body. Naturally she knew what Yejing meant, but she didn't pay too much attention to it. It was good if she could take care of herself in the battle. Who could take care of clothes? She nodded without being pretentious, walked to a place where she couldn't see in the forest, and changed into a set of sportswear. Yejing was the same, her body was sticky and uncomfortable, so she took out a set from the storage bracelet and changed into it. After the two of them were done, they saw Wang Hao supporting Jing and walking over here. An anxious look appeared on Jing's childish face. She stepped forward and talked a lot about Huayu and Yejing, and asked, "Are you two injured?" Huayu shook her head, took Jing, and leaned against her, saying, It's okay. Yejing took out a bottle of recovery potion from his storage bracelet and handed it to Jing. Drink it first. He could tell that Jing's face was pale and he must have been injured. The recovery potion in his hand could be of some use. Wang Hao's eyes widened when he saw the bottle of recovery potion. He glared at Yejing and said, "You must have dealt with those 3 scoundrels. Quick! Give me back my storage bracelet." There are thousands of spiritual stones in his bracelet, as well as a bunch of medicinal materials, and there are almost 10,000 spiritual stones in bits and pieces. It is so heartbreaking to have people snatch it away like this. Besides, it's not just what's inside. Although everyone has storage equipment now, it's not free. A bracelet costs at least 2,000 spirit stones. This is nothing. Yejing rolled his eyes. "I kept this for myself to save my life. Who said it was yours? If you don't admit it, you won't admit it even to death. If it's in your own hands, you still want me to take it out? I'm afraid you won't wake up." Hua Yu didn't want to waste time at this time and said directly, "I want to send Jing to the hospital. Let's go back to the city." She didn't want to stay any longer. She was tired mentally and physically. She went into the forest for a long time and did nothing. She spent most of the time running away. If she hadn't met Yejing, she might not know what the situation was now. She also remembered it at this time, looked at Yejing with a pair of beautiful eyes, and asked, "When did you become so powerful? I couldn't be distracted during the battle before, but now I calm down. I think about the time when I fought side by side with Yejing. Except for the strength of the spiritual energy, he was not inferior to me." And she didn't know if it was because of her misjudgment, but she found that Yejing got stronger as he fought. From the beginning when he attacked the fire demon without moving at all, to later when he shook the flames, this was quite an improvement. And the final blow that broke the fire demon's leg was something that not even her attack power could do. Yejing was ashamed and didn't know how to explain it, so he had to come up with the excuse he had used before. It was a snowy night. A lonely and helpless old man fell at the door of my house. I gave him a bowl of porridge, and he gave him a bowl of porridge. Gave me a unique secret book. Flower language. If you don't want to tell it, don't make up lies. She glared at Yejing. "Let's go back to the city." When Yejing heard that he was returning to the city, he was still a little hesitant. He didn't know what the current situation was in the city and whether he would be arrested as soon as he entered the city. However, it was more dangerous to stay in the forest and whether his life would be in danger. What a dilemma. Yejing sighed secretly and cursed his father in his heart. He could only take one step at a time. At this time, Wang Hao suddenly interrupted, "Do you know which direction to go back?" Yejing. Hua Yu. And Jing. Several people said in unison, "I don't know." The 4 of them were confused. Yes. They have been wandering around in the forest, either running for their lives or on their way to run for their lives. Now they don't even know the way back. They looked around. The trees were dense and the green grass was lush, blocking the sun in the sky, and they couldn't tell the direction. What should they do? Several people were silent, thinking about countermeasures, and they had to admit it now. Lost. Hua Yu suggested, "Let's see how lucky we are. Each person represents a direction. Rock, scissors, paper, go in the direction of the winner." Okay. Now we can only rely on luck to go. The probability of 1 in 4 is very low, but the winner has a lucky bonus, so it should be okay. Yejing represents going left, Hua Yu represents going right, Wang Hao represents going in front, and Anjing represents going in the back. Rock, paper, scissors. Rock, paper, scissors. Yejing won. He couldn't believe his luck, but still pointed to their left. "Then let's go left. I hope it's the right way." They all knew that in one direction, a decisive battle was taking place. Why are all of them passive skills? Author, Bouletin G. Bayet. Chapter 27. In the deep forest outside the south of the city, a siege and counter-siege between Lonely City and Skyfire City is unfolding. Nearly half of the high-end combat power of Lonely City is gathered here, including 3 people in the Heavenly Fate realm, 23 people in the Underground Palace realm, and hundreds of people in the Transformation realm. The purpose is to keep the 2 fire demon commanders under the Skyfire City in Lonely City. In Skyfire City, there are a total of 5 commanders, representing the highest end combat power of Skyfire City. Their strength is only weaker than that of the Lord of Skyfire City. And now trapped in Lonely City are the 2nd and 5th commanders. The 2nd commander has a purple scale of 90, which is equivalent to the 9th level of the Heavenly Fate realm. The 5th commander has a purple scale of 70, which is equivalent to the 7th level of the Heavenly Fate realm. This kind of strength can be counted on one hand in Lonely City, and the alien race is different from humans. They have strong vitality and extremely fast physical recovery speed. In a one-on-one situation, humans are almost at a disadvantage. This time, it was not just the 2 commanders who were surrounded, but also more than a dozen green-scaled and 100 white-scaled fire demons. With such a strong lineup, it would be impossible to take it down without more than half of the high-end combat power of Guken. It must be said that the high-level leaders of Guken were very courageous. If they succeeded this time, they would directly weaken the strength of Tianhuo City by 1/3, and it could even be said to be the biggest gain in decades. Of course, if they succeeded. For this reason, no matter how tragic the price is, they must succeed. In order to prevent those fire demons from escaping, the Lord of Guken even paid out of his own pocket and took out a pseudo-supernatural item Lixing Sky Curtain from the treasure house. Lixing Sky Curtain is known as the Small Sky Curtain, which is made of half the core of the supernatural beast Lixing. Although it is called the Small Sky Curtain, its use is completely different from the Sky Curtain. The Sky Curtain is the ultimate defense means to protect the city and to resist the attack of external enemies. As long as there is an influx of Spirit Stone energy, it can provide uninterrupted protection. The Lixing Sky Curtain is different. The area covered by the Lixing Sky Curtain is much smaller than the Sky Curtain, only 5 miles in radius, and its function is not protection, but imprisonment. The duration of the Lixing Sky Curtain is 2 hours. During this period, you can only enter but not leave. You can enter the Lixing Sky Curtain, but if you want to get out, there is a way to use the extraordinary attack power to break the Lixing Sky Curtain, otherwise, no way. As the core of the extraordinary monster Lixing, it has only one disadvantage, that is, the number of uses, only once. It can be said to be an item, or a scroll. Such a precious one-time item was taken out in this battle, which also shows how much the Lord of Guken attaches importance to it. In the Lixing Sky Curtain, the 2 sides are in a tense confrontation, full of gunpowder. No one took the first move, and no one dared to take the first move. But it is not the fire demon side that is anxious, but the human side. You must know that the Lixing Sky Curtain has begun and can only last for 2 hours. In other words, they must end the battle within 2 hours and eliminate the fire demon. If they fail and let the sporadic fire demons escape into the forest, the consequences will be disastrous. They will definitely burn the forest and return to Tianhuo City. So, there is only this chance, this 2 hours. What should we do? Do we fight or not? I am not here to stare at you. The white-bearded old man standing at the front of the human side said impatiently, holding a stick similar to Yejing in his hand. No, it should be Yejing holding a stick similar to him. Wait for the opportunity. Next to the old professor, a man holding a cold spear and wearing blood-red armor said lightly. He is Njing's father and the highest commander of the entire Lonely City Law Enforcement Department, in Nangxing. In the previous military confrontation, although the outside world said that he was missing, it was not true. He led the charge into the forest. Wait. 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 You only know how to wait for the opportunity. How long do you have to wait? Don't forget that we only have 2 hours, the old professor blew his beard and glared. He has been here for a long time, and he has not stained a single alien life in his hand. He just stood there stupidly, very anxious. Teacher, don't be impatient, another middle-aged man smiled bitterly and said, hasn't it been less than 5 minutes since the Lixing sky curtain was opened? Don't be impatient. The battle between our levels can be resolved in more than 10 minutes. What is needed is the timing. He is the Deputy City Lord Changjiao of Gukan, and he is also the student of the old professor more than 10 years ago. It is right to call him teacher. The old professor, and Nangxing, and Changjiao are the 3 powerful people of destiny who came from Gukan. The old professor has been in the 4th level of destiny for more than 10 years. His spirit and spirit are aging, his aptitude is not strong, and coupled with the injury 18 years ago, he can no longer break through. Although he has the lowest strength among the 3, his combat experience is the richest among the 3. After all, he has lived for so many years and his strength should not be underestimated. And Nangxing has led the law enforcement department to confront the fire demon for many years. He is the one who knows the fire demon best. His strength is the 7th level of destiny. As for the Deputy City Lord Changjiao of Gukan, although he has an ordinary temperament and is ordinary, Changjiao is the strongest among the 3 people, and he is also the one who fights against the 2nd commander of the enemy this time. 9th level of destiny. Deputy City Lord of Gukan. The person in charge of the Gukan Changtian group. Sun Jiao is an elite who has gone out of Gukan. He was an elite more than 10 years ago. After graduation, he directly entered the Changtian group and married the 2nd daughter of the 2nd family of the Changtian group. He changed his surname to Chang. When the Changtian group settled in Gukan last year, he applied for the person in charge. He came to this remote place to gild himself. After returning, he will be a senior executive of the Changtian group. Although he is gilded, his strength is very terrifying. He is only 37 years old and has reached the 9th level of the Fate Realm, second only to the City Lord of Gukan. The mission of the 3 of them is to keep the 2 commanders of Skyfire City at all costs. They are waiting for an opportunity to surround and kill the fire demon, and the fire demon is also waiting for an opportunity. The 2nd and 5th leaders of the fire demon are high-level fire demons, and their intelligence and life forms are already very close to humans. The 5th commander was 2 meters tall, holding a flaming battle axe, and wearing armor made of high-grade fire marrow. He looked at the Gukan troops in front of him with a furious expression and said, "Second commander, why don't you start fighting? My battle axe is hungry, I'm so thirsty." The 2nd commander shook his head and sneered, "Don't worry, they are waiting for the opportunity, and we are also waiting for the opportunity." The 5th commander asked in confusion, "What chance? Escape? There is no way to escape with this big curtain." 2nd commander, waiting for the opportunity to counterattack. "What is this?" Outside the sky of Lixing, Yejing frowned and said, "The 4 of them walked for a long time and did not see the road leading to the city, but saw such a huge thing covering the surrounding area, which made them feel a little trembling." Wang Hao shrugged his shoulders and said nonchalantly, "What the hell, just go in and take a look and you'll know. Anyway, I can't find the way out." After saying that, before Yejing and the others could object, they stretched out a hand and then disappeared. Why are all of them passive skills? Author, Bulletin Ji Bayet. Chapter 28. Yejing suddenly felt wary when he looked at the giant thing flashing white light in front of him. The front of them was completely blocked. From the left and right, the white curtain spread for more than a few meters. In addition, the dense forest cover made it impossible to see clearly. Where is the end? It's even more true when viewed from above. The white curtain covers the sky and the sun. If it weren't for the white light emitting from it, their side would probably be in darkness, right? Why does this thing look like a canopy? Huayu raised a question, frowning. After hearing what Huayu said, Yejing remembered, yes. Why does this thing look so much like a canopy? Surrounding the area, there is a faint white light, exuding endless energy. The difference is only in size. One is an ancestor and the other is a grandson. Yejing said dryly, no way. How could Tianmu appear in a place like this? There was an inexplicable feeling in his heart. The sky curtain had been fixed in the lonely city. It was impossible for the sky curtain to appear in such a place, and no one could make the sky curtain appear in such a place. Then here comes the problem. What on earth is this? Wang Hao couldn't stand the two people's tendency to analyze everything first when they encountered it, so he interrupted impatiently, okay, you don't care what he is, you'll know if you go in and take a look. After saying that, you have to reach out and touch the white curtain. Yejing was shocked, no. When Yejing stopped him, it was already too late. The moment Wang Hao's hand touched the white screen, his whole person disappeared. Yejing, dot. Flower language, dot. Quiet dot. The three of them looked at the place where Wang Hao disappeared with big eyes and small eyes. They didn't understand why a living person disappeared before our eyes. Isn't this amazing? Jing suddenly became anxious. Where are classmates Wang Hao? She has a gentle and timid personality, and a person who was alive before disappeared directly in front of her eyes. No wonder she panicked. Yejing sighed, with a look of helplessness on his face, the matter has come to this, there is nothing we can do, let's go in and take a look. Huayu nodded, held Jing's hand tightly, and the white curtain that the three of them met also disappeared. Who I am? Where do I come from? Where do I go? When Wang Hao passed through the curtain of Li Xing's sky and asked the three ultimate questions of mankind, when he touched it with his hand, he turned his head and Yejing's beautiful words and quietness were all gone, leaving only a white light blocking him. When he was still in a dazed state, when he turned around, he was so frightened that he peed. The overwhelming spiritual pressure roared towards him, and the strong pressure directly made him collapse on the Li Xing sky, shivering. It wasn't just him who was a little confused, but also the two parties in Skyfire City who were in a state of explosives ready to explode at a moment's notice. Hundreds of people from both sides, who were originally full of gunpowder, were thinking about their own thoughts and waiting for the opportunity, but unexpectedly, a person suddenly broke in. In an instant, everyone on both sides looked at Wang Hao, and the confronting spiritual pressure rushed towards Wang Hao. The eyes of the bosses on both sides were all focused on a small figure, which made Wang Hao's brain dizzy, his legs weak, and his heart numb with panic. He tried not to faint. He swallowed his saliva and forced a smile. He nodded and bowed, you go on, I'll give you some soy sauce. After saying that, he immediately turned around and ran out towards the white light. Bang! There was a muffled sound. Wang Hao's face was ashen, he was about to cry, but he didn't let me out. Just when he looked desperate, a white light flashed, and Yejing and the others walked in. They were stunned when they saw the lineups on both sides. My dear. Looks like I'm in trouble. Yejing glanced at the fire demon side and then at the human side, and his heart suddenly felt painful. He already knew where this place was. This is the most dangerous place in the entire forest. Isn't this the place where the lonely city encircled and suppressed the fire demon? Yejing couldn't imagine what would happen next. Question: when two groups of hungry tigers are having a meeting to hunt, a few small white sheep suddenly break in. What will happen? Answer: divide and eat. The air was filled with high temperature, and the evaporated white air could be vaguely seen above. Just when there was still silence and no one spoke, a shout broke the tranquility. Dad! When Jing saw An Nangxing standing at the front of Gukan, she couldn't hold back the excitement in her heart. Tears welled up in her heart. She shouted out and ran towards An Nangxing. Yejing and Huayu's expressions suddenly changed, and they simultaneously raised their feet to chase An Jing. The second leader of the fire demon was stunned for a moment after hearing the cry, but he immediately reacted and rushed out with his strong body. The target was An Jing. The flames on the second commander's body have been much restrained, but their power has not been reduced, but has been greatly enhanced. Wherever it goes, not a single blade of grass grows, and it burns to ashes. Go! Catch that human girl! It was not only the second commander who started taking action at the same time, but also An Nangxing. When he saw An Jing running over, he knew something was going to be bad. Sure enough, the next second he saw the second commander of the fire demon running towards An Jing. Suddenly furious. How dare you touch my daughter of Anan Star? Everything happened so suddenly, in the flash of lightning, An Nangxing was afraid that An Jing would be hurt at all, so he directly burst out with great force and shot the cold gun in his hand towards the second commander. With a whoosh, the cold spear flashed with white light, and rolled up a hurricane that was enough to overturn ordinary people. It was as fast and fierce as a thunder snake and an electric dragon. In the blink of an eye, it swept 100 meters, as if it had penetrated the space. Instant. The explosive pack exploded. A siege battle between the high-end combat power of the Lonely City and the Fire Demon has officially begun. A counter-killing battle between the high-end combat power of the Fire Demon and the Lonely City has officially begun. Both sides prepared for a month, from receiving information, to the assembly of the army, to the attack, to the siege and counter-killing. The beginning was not the Fire Demon in the south of the city 2 days ago, but more than a month ago. Everything. It was for that peace, which was still hidden and unknown to outsiders, and drifted to the peace between the Lonely City and the Skyfire City. Small planet fragments. The only peace. A new land appeared near the Lonely City and the Skyfire City. And now all the life species in the Lixing Sky Curtain deep in the forest are all the chips pressed by the Lonely City and the Skyfire City. Tianhuo City abandoned the second commander, the fifth commander, more than a dozen Earth-level fire demons, and hundreds of human-level fire demons. Gukan abandoned the old professor, Anan Xing, Chang Xiao, 23 underground palace realms, and hundreds of human-level transformation realms. In the first battle of small planetary fragments alone, both sides abandoned nearly one-third of their high-end combat power. This is the temptation of new land and new resource development points. So far, the battle for small planetary fragments has started. The first battle. P.S. After 50,000 words, the main line is finally here. The entire first volume revolves around the small planetary fragments that appeared between Gukan and Tianhuo City. The outline and detailed outline are written, but why do I feel that the writing is different? I have been scolded too much since this chapter, so I will come out to explain. 1. It seems that An Jing and Wang Hao are both pushing the plot. You probably won't see them in the next 10 chapters. This dad called out 30% of my follow-up reading, and I have to let her call out too. 2. Stop talking about how worthless the heroine of Flower Language is. I don't even know if she is the heroine, believe it or not, I can write a celestial being in a minute. 3. Please be gentle with your words. I have explained it from 160,000 words. If you are too rude, please stop. 4. Thank you for your support. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Why are all of them passive skills? Author, Bouletin G. Bayet. Chapter 29. The gap between aliens and humans is not that big. Take the fire demon as an example. From the outside, high-level fire demons are almost the same as humans. There is no difference except the flames burning their bodies. Besides, this flame can be retracted. The reason why species such as fire demons are called aliens is that the biggest difference is birth and reproduction. Aliens are not like humans. They are born in the mother's womb, and new life reproduces in the mother's womb, and the cycle continues. The aliens were originally composed of cosmic energy, just like the lowest level fire demons. Their bodies are synthesized by energy, and their actions are controlled by crystal cores. But after the energy is raised to the earth level, when the crystal core changes from white to green, the whole life form will change and evolve towards a comprehensive life form like humans. When it reaches the heaven level, after the crystal core changes from green to purple, it is completely out of the control of cosmic energy and transformed into a real life species. What is the most representative of life species? It is reproduction. Fire demons above the heaven level can reproduce the next generation by themselves. It is for this reason that species such as fire demons are called aliens. Two fire demons of the opposite sex above the heavenly level are waiting to breed a new generation of fire demons, and the new generation of fire demons are born in a high-level form, that is, human form. The second commander is like this. The one who led the battle for Tianhuo City was the second son of the Lord of Tianhuo City. The second commander's original intention was to quickly capture Anjing. Although he would not let Nanxing commit suicide, he could be a little cautious. But what he didn't expect was that Nanxing's reaction was so fast. At their level, hundreds of meters can be reached in just 2 or 3 seconds. Nanxing, who fell behind at the beginning, naturally couldn't catch up with the second commander. But he threw the weapon out without hesitation, pointing it directly at the second commander's head. If this shot hits, the second commander's head and crystal core will be directly shattered and fall apart. Risk or not risk? The second commander was in a dilemma. He could catch Anjing in an instant and make the best start, but the price was that he would fall into a huge danger. After hesitating for a while, the second commander gritted his teeth and retreated. He didn't dare to take risks easily. It can be said that Anjing was not worth his risk. The next moment after the second commander retreated, Nanxing's cold spear came randomly, wrapped in a hurricane, rolled up huge energy, and bombarded the place where the second commander was before. The collision between the cold spear and the ground produced a huge impact. A loud sound resounded throughout the Lixing sky, dust splashed, and gravel flew around. Yejing and Huayu took advantage of this gap to grab Anjing and protect her behind them. The two of them supported a weak spiritual barrier to resist the impact of gravel. Wang Hao felt the impact of the gravel and wanted to cry without tears. What about me? What about me? Why is there no one to protect me? Dust splashed and fell. After a gust of wind, a huge pit several meters wide and 1 meter deep appeared 5 meters in front of Yejing, and the cold spear stood there quietly, unstoppable. Anjing looked around blankly, then looked at Yejing and Huayu, feeling extremely regretful, blaming herself for being too excited and talking too much. Yejing was silent. He and Anjing didn't communicate much, not even friends. The only common communication was Huayu. In his impression, Anjing was, as her name suggested, not crazy or crazy, but quiet and peaceful. She didn't like to practice and was very timid. Because her father was a strong man and protected her well, she was pure and kind-hearted. It was a miracle that she could become a close friend with Huayu, a practice maniac and a bold person. But now he also saw a little bit. Huayu, who grew up in a single-parent family and was taken care of by her mother, might also want to experience the feeling of taking care of people. She regarded Anjing as a close friend or a sister. Although it was a little troublesome, what could Yejing say? No matter. Watching to death? You guys. Come here. In the distance, the old professor scolded sternly. He saw that it was his student at a glance, and he was so angry that he trembled all over. If it wasn't for the wrong occasion, he would have taken turns to beat the two boys with a stick. Before Yejing could act, and Nanxing arrived in front of him, grabbed the cold spear in his hand, faced the second commander with a serious face, and said without turning his head, "Hurry up. According to the plan, leave him to me. You and the teacher go to deal with the fifth commander." At this time, the strongest person here, Chang Xiao, also joined the battlefield and said to Nanxing lightly, "The plan is clear. His strength is similar to that of the second commander, and he can entangle for a long time." Taking advantage of this time, Nanxing and the old professor besieged the fifth commander, killed him, and then joined forces to encircle and suppress the second commander. Nanxing's eyes were full of anger, staring at the second commander fiercely. He wanted to avenge his daughter, but he couldn't do it because of his strength. He was unwilling to do so and could only act according to the plan. He snorted coldly and turned around and left. He was afraid that if he stayed for another second, he couldn't help his anger. After Nanxing left, Chang Jiao faced the second commander and showed a strange smile. "According to the plan, I just need to entangle you." The second commander also smiled, "Then follow the plan. The scope of Li Xingtianmu is very large, but no one goes to the edge. First, they can't take care of each other, and second, they can't calculate military merit. When the war starts now, it's called encirclement and suppression, but it's still a melee. Let's find a place to hide." Yejing said, "This place is too dangerous, there are two big guys fighting, maybe it will affect the fish pond at any time, it's better to stay away." Hua Yu looked at the chaotic battlefield and was a little excited. She was eager to try. After hesitating for a while, she whispered, "Why don't you take them away first? I want to wait." Yejing's face was dark. "Sister, you are not right. You want to intervene in the fight between gods? You don't want to live. Isn't there a white-scale fire demon here? This kind of big scene is not easy to see." "I really want to join," Hua Yu said with a little excitement. The spiritual energy in her body was a little irritable. If she was a stable character, she would never enter the forest with Njeng. Yejing was speechless. To be honest, he was also a little excited. It was not easy for him to encounter such a scene without practical experience. There was a big guy protecting him. He could quickly dodge when he encountered danger, and he could fight freely when there was no danger. It was pretty good. Seeking death? Or not seeking death? Yejing was also in a dilemma. His realm was very low, only the second level of the transformation realm. He might be the lowest in Li Xingtianmu except Wang Hao and Njeng. But how can you become stronger if you don't commit suicide? If you don't commit suicide, can you still be a time traveler? Yejing suggested, "How about we give it a try?" "Steady, wretched, just give it a try." Hua Yu nodded repeatedly, "Just give it a try." Why are all of them passive skills? Author, Bouletin G. Bayet. Chapter 30. The old professor was very irritable. He had old injuries on his body that could not be cured. His realm had already reached the fourth level of the Fate realm 18 years ago, but now 18 years have passed and he is still at the fourth level of the Fate realm, unable to improve at all. After many desperate struggles, he chose to stay away from the battlefield and became a teacher in the school. However, due to years of fighting, his temper was very irritable and he would punish students at any time. After so many years, he still did not change at all. Originally, this kind of siege of Tianhuo City had nothing to do with him. After all, he had withdrawn for so many years, and he was old and weak. However, for some reason, the city lord forced him to participate in this battle as a high-end combat force. First he was forced by the city lord, and then he waited for so long. Now the old professor was like a hungry old wolf, scanning the food in front of him. Of course, what was in front of him was not food. Wang Hao and Anjing trembled as they watched the gloomy old professor. Since the old professor started teaching them, he had a dead face all day long and was very serious. There was no student in the school who was not afraid of him. The old professor said expressionlessly, "How did you get here? And didn't I tell you not to come to the south of the city?" Wang Hao's eyes wandered. "Well, I said I got lost, do you believe me?" The old professor sneered, "Lost more than 10 miles from the city. If it weren't for the wrong occasion, he would have picked up a stick and started beating, and he wouldn't have hesitated so much." He didn't dare to move Anjing, but Wang Hao was the kind of person who would beat anyone. "No." The old professor frowned suddenly. "Weren't there 4 people when they came in? How come there are only 2 left? Where are Yejing and Huayu? Why can't I see them?" The low voice made Wang Hao tremble all over, and he almost cried. "Why should I suffer this? I'm just here to sell medicine." But he didn't dare to say this in front of the old professor, so he had to say honestly, "They went to fight." "Okay, okay. My good students." The old professor was so angry that his chest trembled, and he gritted his teeth and said, "I will beat them to death when I go back. What a mess it is, and you still go in to make trouble. Do you want to die so much?" Of course, Yejing and Huayu didn't know what the old professor was thinking. They were hiding in the trees, looking at the battlefield covering a large area below, and they were full of admiration. Saw someone cut down the trees within 100 meters with a sword, and killed several earth-level fire demons. Saw a fire demon rushing to burn the surrounding area, leaving no grass around. Saw someone fighting a fire demon head-on. Saw a fire demon playing swords with people. Eye-opening. Yejing's face was pale. This was the first time he saw a large-scale battle. No, it couldn't be called a large-scale battle, it could only be called a small-scale battle. The people who were alive 1 second ago were dead the next second. The blood was dripping, and the lost lives kept impacting his brain, making him unable to calm down. Yejing's voice trembled and said, "Do we still need to go down?" Huayu was still excited, and her bright pupils scanned the surroundings, looking for a target. "Of course. Otherwise, why would we stay here?" Yejing was ashamed. "Girl, you are really crazy. I knew a long time ago that Huayu was restless and violent, and she would raise her fist at him at every turn, but I didn't expect it to be so serious." He gritted his teeth and did it. "Anyway, there is a trump card. We can't beat him first. What kind of man is it to be a coward all the time?" Yejing pointed in a direction and said, "Look at that one, 50 white scales, the same as the one we encountered before." Huayu hesitated and said, "Isn't there a fight going on over there? If we go there, won't it be considered stealing monsters?" Yejing said righteously, "The whole white screen is in chaos, how can it be considered stealing monsters?" Huayu thought about it. "Yes, it's all in chaos now, whether it's humans or fire demons, they are all looking for the weak to attack." Not far from the tree where they were squatting, just a few dozen meters, there was a human who was also in the 5th level of the transformation realm fighting. Yejing and Huayu went around, one on the left and one on the right. While they were fighting, the two jumped down from the tree directly. There was no strategy, it was nothing more than a sneak attack. 2 figures fell from the sky, one on the left and one on the right. The fire demon noticed Yejing, and Huayu attacked. When it noticed Huayu, Yejing attacked. When the two started to move, their aura was exposed. The fire demon looked at the 2 people who jumped down from the tree with a confused face, and hurriedly waved his fist to repel them. And the target was Huayu. Huayu's long legs wrapped in sweatpants jumped and stepped directly on the fire demon's fist. The fire demon's sturdy arms formed a sharp contrast with Huayu's delicate long legs. With the impact of the impact, Huayu suddenly kicked her legs, and her petite body flipped in the air, escaping from the fire demon's attack range. The two jumped down from the tree at the same time. The moment the fire demon focused on Huayu, Yejing raised the dog-beating stick, aimed at the crystal core, and stabbed it hard. Instantly smashed. Very simple. When the broken crystal core just fell to the ground, Huayu waved her little hand and took it away directly. The speed of cleaning the battlefield was very fast. Then she and Yejing left the area directly. 3 jumps and 2 jumps, there was no one in sight. The person who had fought before was left standing there with a bewildered look on his face. Where is my monster? Where is my experience value? Where is my loot? When the two ran away, they found a relatively safe tree to hide, looked at each other, and then left. Yejing's heart was beating fast, it was so exciting. No wonder some people like to grab monsters when playing games, it turns out that this feeling is so cool. While others are fighting hard, they can directly sneak attack and kill monsters, roll up the loot and escape directly. It's so exciting. It's so exciting. Huayu is the same, her face is red, her breath is slightly disordered, and her eyes are full of excitement. Although she is warlike, she has not had much combat experience, or even very little. This time, for her, it is definitely the most novel experience. Next one. Another one, Huayu patted Yejing's shoulder, without even taking a break, and pointed in another direction. Yejing looked in the direction where Huayu pointed, with a strange look on his face. Are you sure? Huayu nodded repeatedly, sure. Are you sure? Yejing held his forehead. The green-scaled fire demon, girl, are you floating, or is the fire demon unable to lift the knife? Is the earth level something we two little ghosts can afford to provoke? Isn't it good to eat some monsters peacefully? How can you bear to be so suicidal? Yejing shook his head and refused. Don't be ridiculous. The earth rank can kill the two of us with one slap, so let's find the ones below 50 scales of white. 50 scales of white is equivalent to the 5th level of the transformation realm. They can kill them easily with the two of them, so why take the risk?